Just ran off a mom and a little tiny baby deer right there. It's pretty cool to see. Well guys, I apologize. I'm sure you've all had days like I'm having right now. I hooked up to the box blade right here at the shop because all I was gonna do is just start moving some stuff around because it looks like our house is sold and we're about to be bringing a lot of extra stuff over here. So I was like, I'll just get organized this morning. Well, that was about 3 hours ago. Hooked up to the box blade and I figured, while it's hooked up, I'll just go knock one or two little things out. Well, you know how that goes. Knock one or two things out and I figured, heck, while it's hooked up, I'm gonna go do this. Then I'm gonna go do that. Then I said, hey, I'll go ahead and hook up to the root rake here and push a few little trees while I'm over here with the box blade. And yeah, again, 3 hours later. So I feel bad for not bringing the camera along because I already did some pretty neat stuff. And I need to show y'all how powerful these little compact tractors are. They just never cease to amaze me. So I'll let you know where I'm at right here, and I'm pretty close to finishing up, but I'll bring y'all along for the ride there. Right here, just in front of me, was nothing but thick brush. I had a big, I don't know, 5 foot tall mound of trees and brush I had pushed down here. All behind me is some of the thickest, nastiest vines you could see. You could not see in here at all. And I have decided that this is the spot where I'm going to put my little wood processing center, I guess you'll call it, my firewood processing place. So I'm going to build me a little shed up in here, have me a log splitter down here. Still got to go purchase one, but I've already started stockpiling some wood. And this is where I've been storing wood in the past that will burn like in our fire pits and just other areas whenever we come stay over here in the camper. But now that we may be building a house with a fireplace, and we just love outdoor fires. We do them most of the year. So I plan on processing a whole bunch of firewood. So I figured this old live oak made a perfect canopy and shade that I can work in the shade. So right now what I'm doing, I pushed all that brush back, tore all these vines out, and it's just amazing how strong that loader is just to tear up massive amounts of vines. And I'm bringing the box blade in here and I'm about to start leveling it out. And a box blade is an underrated piece of equipment. Most people think it's for leveling dirt only. Not at all. I use it more for pushing brush and uprooting trees. That's a lot of people don't realize that. Trees like this that you'll have to get out with an axe or cut, I can angle that back blade on the box blade, push into it, and it'll pull root and all up, and then I can just push it right back into the back like I'm doing now. Now these little smaller roots doesn't do so well with these vines. That's okay. I'll come back in with a flail mower and clean all this up. So what I'm doing right now is I'm pushing the last of these trees out and roots. I'm going to start leveling this out. I'm not looking for it to be perfect, but somewhat level. And I'll come back in later with a pole saw and finish cutting some of this mess out, some of these limbs, push them to the back where I've already got this big berm of trees and brush. And that should be good enough for me to come in and build me a little wood shed, start stockpiling some wood. And this is where I plan on processing it forever. The house is going to be way up there through the woods, so I can make a mess down here is the reason I've chose this spot. You won't be seeing it from the yard, you know, bark everywhere and limbs, things like that. So just figured this would be a good spot, get me away from the house, get me some shade while I work, because the majority of my firewood processing is going to be in the summertime. You know, we always have trees blow down with storms, hurricanes, things like that. Plus you want to go ahead and get it split up and seasoned anyway. So that's the reason I want some shade. Won't be doing a whole heck of a lot of processing in the winter unless I get some trees on the ground. So enough rambling on. That's what I'm doing now. I've also cleaned up another spot that had some old farm equipment in it. I'll swing by and show y'all that. I did a little bit of mowing this morning, so again, I apologize for not bringing the camera along. I had no intentions of doing any of this, but just the way it goes. Woke up, hey, I'll do this, I'll do that. Just one thing leads to another. That's how it happens a lot with me. So I'm gonna try to start keeping the camera and the tractor for whenever I get these days and get that itch and urge just to jump from one project to the next. didn't take too long at all. Wish I had started y'all off, you know, recording and watching from the get-go, but I may have 30-45 minutes in pushing a whole bunch of trees and vines and leveling this out. I still got some low spot here that I'm gonna work with just a little, but I'm in no rush. I'm not building this shed just yet. Get under the limbs. It's actually starting to rain. We're still dealing with that tropical depression. It's on its way to Louisiana right now, but it formed just off our coast and we're still getting bands of rain from it. Luckily nothing severe. I'm tired of cleaning up trees, but it's early in the season. I'm sure we'll have more storms. Now I'll come in here and hand pick some of these, you know, bigger vines out, but all this old stuff right here that's everywhere, bring the flail mower in, knock it down, smooth it out. Probably gonna come back in here with a root rake now that I've kind of built a dam back there with dirt and loosen that up so water doesn't puddle up. Although I don't know if y'all can tell, there's kind of got a high spot here. Water should run off fine, but I don't want it to build up back there, so I'm gonna loosen some of that soil up. Come back later with a pole saw, cut all these vines, probably push that back just a little more. I've got wood in that grass that I've got to clear out, and then I'll finish pushing and smoothing all that out. Start from scratch. If we've got more viewers and people are watching at this point that I post this video, give me your advice on where I should build my wood rack at. Like I said, I'm gonna kind of work up underneath here. I don't know that I necessarily need my wood rack in the shade. You know, you do want the wood to dry, but it would keep it out of the rain more, although that's the whole point of the rack. But should I put it out here in the open where the sun can get to it, a little more wind? I'm thinking probably so. Help the wood dry a little quicker. But I'll get it figured out. That's a future project. While I had stuff hooked up today and the bug bit me to work, figured I'd come on back and start clearing this out. So I'll be building a little shed back here in a future video, as well as probably doing a review on whatever log splitter I pick out. Tell y'all what, I was back and forth on deciding if I wanted to spend the extra money for a cab tractor, and luckily Tiffany talked me into doing it, which is surprising. She talked me into spending a little more money, and that's just so much more money for a cab. But I will honestly say at the moment I don't regret it at all. I mean, look at this. It just started pouring rain on me. I was able to jump in the tractor, whereas my last one I'd have been caught in this, running up under some limbs or trying to rush back to the house and getting soaking wet. So if you're on the fence about a cab versus open station tractor, man, go ahead and get the cab. The only reason I would not is if you do a lot of work in the trees and you're scared about busting the glass. I do some work out in the trees, but the majority of it's open, and I'm just gonna have to use a pole printer a little more now that I got a cab. And I'm probably gonna do a comparison video on that down the road, since I've owned both. And if that's something y'all wanna see, let me know. Tractor since it's raining, but it's in the area I also worked on this morning. This is our big, well, I call it big. This is our hay field right here. Pasture, whatever you want to call it. There was some old farm equipment here. You can still see some of the junk that I'm gonna have to continue to get out and get hauled off, but just push some of that back because it was really starting to encroach on the gap running through here. Got that leveled out. Still got to go in and get a few roots out, get some of this moss down. And hopefully that should start growing in grass before long. eventually our animal fence is going to come through here. And sadly, this big, gigantic live oak right here, I mean, it's probably 4 foot across at the base in there, it's died. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get that down. I don't have a chainsaw that'll cut it. I don't know if I'm gonna buy one or hire somebody. You know, I could buy me a chainsaw, or I could hire somebody to come here and cut one down for it, depending on the brand, of course. So still trying to decide about that, but I don't want to run a brand new fence right through here and then have this tree come collapsing down on it and the animals get out one night. So that'll be a not so fun future project right there, figuring out what I'm gonna do, get this gigantic live oak down, and I'll probably just push it up in here best I can, and I'm gonna have to cut it up some small pieces. Again, 4 foot diameter logs, that's asking a lot for a little compact tractor to push, so that's not going to be fun. I'm kind of dreading that project, but something that's got to happen. I'm going to start cleaning everything out this fall, all the way down here, all these limbs, so I can start running a fence. I want to wait for it to cool off. Plus, I'm planning on purchasing a tractor, a wood chipper in the future. Pretty excited about that. That way I can have mulch, can do some compost, and take advantage of all these limbs that I'll just have to continue to keep cleared out for the rest of our life. Plus, again, storm damage. Not the world's biggest fan on big burn piles, so kind of looking forward to being able to chip everything and get some use out of it. So that's more to come in the future. Don't know if y'all can see some of the dove flying up out of here. Ever since I planted, they've been picking up little straggler seeds that have came up out there. And as y'all know, I just planted this, well, maybe you don't know, just planted this in millet 3 days ago. 3 days. And there is already millet coming up everywhere. You can't see on this camera, but I mean absolutely everywhere. You should be able to see that. All those little leaves coming up is brown top millet. After only 3 days of planting, so pretty impressive. Stuff definitely grows like a weed. So I'm happy to see that. Didn't get the field as leveled as I'd hoped. We had a couple hard rains since I planted it, but it looks like it didn't pack it out too much. Millet's coming up fantastic. So I think this is gonna turn out good. The corn is coming up over there. It's got a lot of weed competition in it. You know, you try to kill it. Sometimes it comes up. However, corn's still coming up great, and everything is so dark green and lush. Never seen it this dark green. So hitting it with that fertilizer is doing it some good this year. Give a little update over here. I'm still scratching my head on this one. Remember, I planted all this in the soybeans. I had chopped it in, planted it in soybeans, and all this just started coming up. I was like, what the heck? This field was full of last year's winter oats. So I'm thinking, okay, this is oats that's coming up. That's what it is. Well, the more I get to looking at it, that is millet that is coming up. And the reason I'm scratching my head is it's been at least 3 years now that I think about it since I planted this section in millet. So I have no idea where this millet is coming from. I guess that seed can lay dormant for a long, long time. But it's crazy. I just don't quite understand it. So I was thinking about chopping all this back in and starting over. But what I think I might do is let this go, hit it with fertilizer, and just have an early stand of millet right here that I'll mow down here in probably another month or so once it starts browning up. That'll give the doves something to eat early. I mean, it's small. I'm not planning on feeding a whole lot, but it is something that'll attract them and keep them here because they've been here for weeks already. So I need to keep something on the ground for them. Then later, this like gun season, I'll plant this in winter oats again, since millet doesn't like growing that late in the year, and I don't have to worry about the seed that's on the ground germinating and coming back up. So I think I might do that instead of just destroying this, since it's trying to come up so thick in millet. I think I'm just gonna keep fertilizing it, mow it down, let the seed get on the ground, let the dove eat it. Then plant it some winter oats later. About the time this seed's ate up, be time to mow this patch down, hunt the dove on it. After we have 1 or 2 dove shoots here, mow that side down, replant this side. It'll mostly replant itself, honestly, and then mow this again later in the season. I have found that it'll grow pretty late in the year, so that way I can keep kind of rotating and just keeping the birds here well into the season. So with that said, that's how the plots are going. The deer came out here and within 2 nights, after all those soybeans come up, and just nipped the tops out of them. Just killed them like I've never seen them eat them that quick and over a period of a couple nights. But that's okay. They were planted for the deer. Now it looks like I'm gonna wind up with millet instead. Again, still scratching my head on that one, but here it is. And looks like this millet plot's coming up great. Hopefully it gets seeded out and I can get it on the ground a couple weeks ahead of the dove season. I don't think that'll be a problem. So if we keep getting rain like we're getting, actually the radar looks horrible. Got a lot of rain coming here right now, so I don't think rain will be a problem. But if that keeps happening, I think these plots are gonna do good. I've turned this one over one more time. I'm gonna go ahead and plant that in some soybeans or iron clay peas. Might do a mixture of both. Again, that over there is just gonna be more millet as well. So we'll see how it turns out. Kind of experimenting every year, playing a little, till I can figure out what works best. Just figuring it out. Well, I just about stepped on this guy. He come crawling out of the millet. Guess that's an old oak snake. I tend to leave those guys alone. Venomous snakes around here, well, they're not welcome. Snakes like this guy and all these black racers that we constantly have, I'll leave those guys alone. Not a big fan of snakes, but I hate mice and other little critters, so I like to leave the snakes around to take care of those guys for me.